This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Azul came out under Plan B Games. It was a huge success, got nominated for the Spiel Des Jahres at the time of this video recording, and over the course of time, Plan B made a new imprint branding called Next Move Games, and those are all going to be games like Azul that are abstracted, that are easy to teach, don't have a lot of rules, but have a lot of depth, and have 4 letters. Azul has 4 letters, and the next one in that lineup, or product line called Reef, just had a soft launch at Origins. It's going to be coming out in a little bit at retail, but I had a chance to play it and review it, and since it's the next game in this lineup, I've been being asked, because I already reviewed Reef right after Origins, many people asking me how would I compare it to Azul, which one do I think is better. Now even though these games aren't exactly alike, they are in the same product line, they are in the same sort of wheelhouse, so I'm going to do a comparison video for you, sort of which one do I think wins in different sections and which one did I prefer. So I'm going to give you a quick 1-minute Allegro style overview of each of these games, and then I'll see you on the other side. Azul is an abstract strategy game for 2 to 4 players where every player will have their own board that they're building these beautiful tiles on. On your turn, you'll either be drafting all the tiles from the same type from a factory, pushing the rest to the center, and adding those to your board, or you'll be taking all the tiles from the center of one type. At the end of the round, you'll be placing finished rows onto the board to build a beautiful mosaic. All additional tiles get removed from the game, and if you've gotten too many, you'll be getting minus points. And this continues until one player has finished a horizontal row, and you'll get bonuses for having 5 of the same tile, also for having horizontal rows completed, and for also having columns completed. There's also a variant where you can place tiles in any of the places as long as there's not more than one of the same tile type in the same column. Reef is an abstract strategy game for 2 to 4 players, where you'll be each building up your own reef with different type of coral. Turns are very simple. You'll either be drawing a card, or you'll be playing a card where you'll first be able to place coral anywhere on your board with some slight rule restrictions, and then you'll be scoring this, like I see a purple from the top, I'll get a point, but you can do this multiple times. And you're trying to puzzle your way through to use certain cards in certain ways to score big points, like this one will score me 8 points because I have 2 of these that are size 3 with yellow on top. And on a subsequent turn, I'll be able to place these, but also score this as well, so you're synergizing the cards and the timing of those cards. There's a lot of cards in the game, and they come out in different orders each game, so the puzzle will change every time you play, and you can either try to stick to a very tactical looking 1 or 2 moves ahead, or trying to get one of the big ones done, and maybe getting a possible of 16 points on just one card for longer term strategy. Alright, well let's take a look at both of these in different sort of sections. Let me first look at art and components. There's going to be a lot of ties in this versus for me actually. Art and components for me is a tie. Again, very subjective, but in this one you have Azul, which has those beautiful tiles. You have the components, the way things look. It's just a beautiful looking game, and the components are big and chunky. It has a nice big bag. The boards look nice. Azul, very top notch there. Also with Reef, you've got really good boards, and you've got those big chunky bits that are different coral, different colors, different shapes, and things like that. So art and components, I'm going to say is basically a tie. They're both very good. Neither of them really pulled ahead of the other, I would say, on arts and components. Let's go to theme. For me, this is also a tie because both of these are actually themes that I like because they're both unique. Azul is about the tiles that are making up the mosaics there over in that side of the world. Very unique theme. Same with Reef. There are more games about reefs than there are about what Azul's about, but it's not one that's overdone, and I like the underwater theme. So I like both themes because neither of them are used very often, but at the same time, these are abstract games, and the games are pretty themeless. The themes are sort of pasted on, so none of them are thematic, but both of them are cool individual themes, so I'd give that one a tie. Let's go to ease of play. Another tie here for both of these. Both of them are, very interestingly enough, you're doing one of 2 things on your turn. And again, this is going to be that product line where you're doing just that. I always talk about my depth to complexity ratio. That's how deep can a game be with how simple the rule set. the more simple the rule set, but the more depth, the better that ratio is. And both of these do excellent jobs with this because, again, you're just doing one of two things. You're either in Azul, you're either taking all of the tiles of one type from one of the factories, pushing the rest in, or you're taking all of one from the middle. In Reef, you're either drawing a card or picking up a card. I mean, or playing a card and scoring, hopefully. So yeah, same amount of ease of play. They're both easy to teach games. The length, again, another tie. Both of these are very close in length of how long it takes to play. So again, a lot of similarities, and I think that obviously is a good reason because they are in the same product line and they fit that same sort of genre or niche. So now we're going to start getting into some of the differences. Let's talk about gameplay. Azul itself, I believe, there is both tactics and strategy in Azul. You've got the tactical aspect of what am I doing right now? What's out there? What am I trying to get to? But you also have some strategic choices as to, okay, I've built here, so am I going to try to go for columns? Am I going to try to go for all of the same type and get the big bonuses? Or am I going to try to rush to the end there and get a horizontal line done? But for me, it's much more tactical than strategic. If you were to look at the two of those, again, it does have some strategy that you lock into and try to go for, but it's much more tactical, I would say. Where Reef, I think, really is in the middle. It has the best of both worlds. In my review, I mentioned that after playing it just a couple times, I thought it was almost all tactical, but then as I played it more and more, the strategic side of that really started to shine itself, especially once you know what all the cards do. And the big thing is in Azul, the strategic side of that is pretty much set. You're either going to go for a columns or you're going to go for those 5 of a kind or getting 5 of the same, I think it's 5, get all of the same type to get the big ones. Where Reef, what strategy you pick can completely change each game. One time you might be stacking high with this color. One time you might be going wide with this color. And then once you get that strategy, you can go for other strategies that go along with it. So if you're building wide and you get the one that scores you 16 points all the way around, well, then you can start getting the other ones like the diagonals and the right angles and the straight lines that all match with that. So you can go for one strategy at first, but you can kind of sort of spiderweb your way off to other strategies that are somewhat interconnected with those. And every time you play the game, the strategies, you get to more pick them. As opposed to, here's the 2 strategies in the game, you can go for those. Where Reef is like, it's open. Granted, yes, there's a handful of different strategies that are on those cards. It's not unlimited, but I feel like there's more longer-term strategy possibilities with Reef than Azul, and you get to pick them as you're drafting cards and you're pivoting through those throughout the game. Now, player interaction. At first, I might think that Azul is actually meaner because when you're doing things in Azul, you're like totally messing people over. You're looking at what they're drafting, you're looking at what they have, and you're making a decision that will totally hose the next player. So at first, I'd say Azul tends to have more player interaction and is meaner. However, if everybody at the table has played Reef and they start seeing these longer-term strategies and the different ways that different cards you're gonna go for, actually, there can be some very big swings, and therefore the meanness probably doesn't happen quite as often as in Reef. But when it does happen, I'd say it's more detrimental because if you're going for this strategy where you're going to get 20 or 30 points towards the end, someone can deny you the cards that are going to allow you to get that. And so I don't think it happens as often as meanness as Azul, but I think it's bigger when it happens. And I kind of like that better. Big scoring moments. So Azul, as you start to build up and you're getting points and you're getting things and you're trying to build it up, so when you score points, you get a lot cross and a lot cross this way, and things do sort of build up and things go like that. But with Reef, it's like, okay, the beginning of the game, you're like, 3 points, 1 point, 4 points, 5 points, right? And then you throw down this whopping 30 or 20 or 15. Like, you're like tripling the amount of points at least of some of the other ones if you're going for some of these larger strategies. And, in Azul, you get all these points and you're setting all these things up, and you get those at the end of the game. It's like, okay, I got 10 for this column, or I forget exactly all the points, but like you're scoring it up and you're going up the tracks, and that's fine, but there's nothing like holding back a card that people have forgotten that you had, since maybe you had it at the beginning of the game, maybe they never saw it, and you throw it down and you're like, boom, there's 20, and everyone's like, whoa, mind blown. Oh, you know what? Because I did that, boom, here's another 15, and it has bigger climaxes, and for me, it has more excitement when you do some of those big, huge cards. Replayability. They're both very puzzly. Azul's puzzle sort of evolves as the game goes on, and every round's going to be different. Also, you have the back of the board, which you can flip over, and it's not a set grid. You can sort of decide how you play. but you know, the general rules are the same and you can't really move it that much. You know, you can play with that, but it's still the same sort of thing. Where Reef, I think, because of those longer big term goals, and because of how the cards come out, and because you can pivot a little bit more, I think that that Reef has even more replayability than Azul. Just you have more rooms to pivot and change strategies and change things throughout the game there. So I think Reef's a little bit more flexible. So overall, they're both very good games. Now Azul is hugely popular. I didn't like it nearly as much as most people did. But because of this, again, a lot of it's tied, but for some of the main reasons I mentioned, I personally like Reef better than Azul. So what does this mean? I'm not trying to like start this hype train saying Reef is going to be the next Spiel Des Jahres and Reef takes down Azul. They're both excellent games. Again, I liked Azul not as much as most, but I liked Reef better. Are you going to like it? Hopefully between this and my full review for Reef, which I've placed the link in the description of this video, you can go check that out in even more detail. That's it for me. I liked Reef better. Will you? Well, it's a very personal decision, but hopefully the reasons why I mentioned here and the reasons in my review will help you decide if you think this will be better or not for Azul. And even though they're in the same product line and they have many similarities, they're very different. If you like Azul's style of game, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like Reef. They're just different in different ways. This has been the Game Boy Geek, helping you find and enjoy the next board game you'll love.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.